Well, good evening, Chameleon Academy. Welcome to this Q&A session. It's live and it's open. Hello, Eliza, Ann, and Justin. Very good to have you here. And here while I'm doing animal chores. Excellent. That's exactly what you should do. Hey, Carson. Hello, everybody. All right. So this is the open forum for Q&A. Saturdays is the day that we have a specific topic that we got to think about. Well, here it's just going to be us talking. Hello, Frosty Soul on Instagram. Dustin. Hey, Geraldine, Marcia Ann, Wayne B. It's good to see you all. M. Davis. Oh, see, Titan the Chameleon says, hey, Bill, just wrapped up gut loading for the night. Excellent. That's exactly what we should be doing. Watching from work. Posted my second video day. Congratulations, Wayne Abides. I know what it takes to create a video, and so that is that's a wonderful achievement. Good job. Well, hello, Neptune. You know what? Coincidentally, we're going to talk about you tonight. So I got something to say. So Mason's Turtles, wonderful to have you. So all right, let's see. Frosty Soul says, so I got a Senegal chameleon. Do you have any info to share for them? There's so little information. Yes, you're right, Frosty Soul. There is so little information because we see so little of them. And honestly, that is a chameleon species that I have not kept. And so I'm going to have to, generally speaking, I would say panther chameleon-like, but because that's kind of a general catch-all. But honestly, I've not worked with Senegals, so good luck with them. They unfortunately they come in very weak. Usually, they're not treated very well, and so deparasitize your little guy, and just give them basic panther care. That's a good place to start off with. So let's see. James is saying, Bill, you are looking exceptionally handsome tonight. What do I say other than, yeah, you're right. You're right. Of course. Oh, good news. My cam is becoming very tame. Well, okay, well, good job. Hey, Nick's here. Nick. Very good. Okay, so Nora's Indoor Farms are going to do a couple of just that question, and then I'll go into just something I wanted to say. I have a question about heat. My chameleon's heat lamp broke last night, and I am unsure how to make sure he stays warm and find a replacement light bulb for the Philips Agro plant light. Well, okay, you should just, okay, first of all, yeah, get a replacement as soon as possible, but I mean, you just find a replacement, and you can go on Amazon, you can go to any basic store, just find a replacement for it. So, okay. And all right. So you know what? Hey, may as well go into this is an open Q&A session, and so guys put it in. But I wanted to mention something. This morning I was listening to the Wild Type podcast, which I want to do on occasion, and Neptune, who coincidentally joined us on Instagram, was mentioning a response where somebody was saying that she shouldn't be showing plastic or fake plants inside of a cage, and that it wasn't a good example, because content creators should be showing the best example, because people can think that it's okay if they use fake plants. And I get what they're saying. Yes, when people look at a video, they see what we do on the video and they say, okay, I'm going to emulate that. No matter what we say, people look at what we do. They look at the pictures, they look at the videos, and they decide, oh, okay, I can do that. And so, yes, when we create videos, we do have to be careful what we put up there. That said, There is a value in following someone's YouTube journey over the last, I don't know, Neptune's been doing it for 7 years. And I've been doing this podcast for 10 years. There is a value in that beyond just simple, okay, I've got an episode and I've extracted all the information from that. I would like all of you here, if you're going to be following me and listening to what I say, the value of following somebody year after year after year is not the individual points of information, but everything that connects all those points of information. When I create a care guide, yes, that's the ideal care. But the problem with that is nothing is ever ideal. The value of seeing somebody when they do something week after week after week, year after year, is you're seeing real life there, because life is never easy. It's never clean cut. And there's huge value in knowing what to do when things go wrong. Like I can say, use live plants. You should use live plants. But what happens when there's a mealybug infection, which is exactly what happened with Neptune? And her entire beautiful plants had to be taken out. And the quick way to deal with that situation is you put in fake plants. And you all know, if you may have a hard time finding big full plants, especially during winter. You all know it's not that easy. Yeah, I live in Southern California and sometimes it's easier for me, but the rest of the world doesn't. And so what do you do? What do you do when everything goes wrong? Well, you figure it out. And the value of what you're seeing in right now, the little situation with the Neptune's chameleon, is she's had to figure out what to do when something went wrong. And that in itself is of so much value. That in itself, watching how somebody who's experienced is dealing with things that go totally wrong, that really helps you, because you can go to my care guides and you can follow everything, but I can guarantee you within the next 6 months, something's going wrong. Your humidity is going to go out the window. And what do you do then? Well, you know what? Did you see me? When I would come on, it would be during the daytime, and I'd be fogging my cages. Oh my gosh, you go on the internet, aren't you supposed to not fog during the day? Well, that's a useful soundbite that is used to help beginners begin. You know, when you have a beginner, you got to give them guidelines. You can't just tell them, well, you can fog when these conditions are in the seventh house and all this kind of stuff. It's too complicated. You got to make it simple. And one of those simplistic sound bites is, don't use fake plants. Okay. It's a good sound bite. It's a good guardrail for beginners to start off. But you gotta know that there's a window of times and situations where you no longer have to stick to that. And when you have learned these sound bites as a beginner, which you should, it's a good thing. Okay, you know what? I may not agree with how some of these sound bites are worded, but I'm also not going to fight them, because they do the job of getting people past the initial levels of chameleon husbandry. And so if you go out into the world and you start seeing people that you respect, and what I mean is not just everybody. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff on the internet. You can find so much garbage on the internet, but there are a few bright spots. and you know what those bright spots are. You've decided what those bright spots are. If you see someone who has a pretty good amount of experience doing something that seems to be against the soundbite that you've got in your head, instead of saying, wow, they're doing it wrong, think, okay, maybe this is an opportunity for me to learn another perspective, another facet to this quotes fact that I've learned. And I mean, you look, just take this situation. Well, Neptune's been doing this for what, 7 years? And not only doing it 7 years, doing it in the Thunderdome of social media. So I think we can give her some street cred. I think she's earned that. So if she's doing something that is against a soundbite, how about sitting back and saying, okay, there's something more to this than I understand. Give her the benefit of the doubt. Now, okay, I understand where you're coming from as far as let's be in a good example. We have to be a good example. I get that. But also, I want to say, if you insist on that, you are going to lose the value of having a weekly show. The value of anybody having a weekly show is that they are sharing day to day, week to week, things that happen as being a chameleon keeper, reptile keeper, any of these keepers. And so I would like to have a couple of messages here. First of all, give people the benefit of the doubt, especially if they deserve it, especially if they've earned the benefit of the doubt, and say, okay, maybe I can learn something from this. Second of all, when somebody who is in the position, say of Neptune in this particular case, and is showing some husbandry that is not considered, quotes, ideal, that should have lights going off in your head. Pay attention. This is a learning opportunity, because I can tell you, all of us who do these kind of videos, when we do a video, we are fully aware of what's going on. I am sure that I got a message from her. Let's see. She knew that there was fake plants in there, and she knew that she usually says you need live plants. So pay attention and realize there are times when you can't do what's ideal. And in those cases, that's when it's really important to watch things like this. So I wanted to say that I can't change the world, and I tell you, everybody's going to love their Facebook sound bites and love to go on and say, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong. We can't stop that. But for the small group, the small corner of the internet that gathers here on Tuesday nights, I want to impress upon you the value of watching the people who you see on a week-to-week basis, and how they deal with certain things. Let's see, Neptune says, alternative would be just hiding it, yes, in which most people do, and that's not helpful for keepers trying to learn. Not the first, and I won't be the last person to have mealy bugs. How true that is. How true that is. Yes, everybody, you see that wonderful enclosure that I had back there? Yep. I've got to redo it because it had scale. So yeah, that's what happens. And it's something that we need to talk about and deal with. So yeah, I want you all to come at this. So social media is, I guess social media is, it's like it's a poison. It's a, it's a, oh my goodness, it's a cesspit. Okay, Bill, don't go down this road. Don't go down this road. Um, yeah, give people grace, a little bit of mercy, and especially people that that you trust, that you trust. So world needs Bill's. Oh, thank you, Neptune. Thank you. Neptune also says, my hope was to show it is possible to have an enclosure with ample coverage with fake plants as compared to the times when a person has just one fake plant. Yes, yes. And so you can go and you can take a look at what Neptune's doing and see what happens when your plants just are destroyed and you got to start over. So, and let's maybe I bring up another situation. She's going to be doing baby chameleons for the first time. And coincidentally, I'm going to be doing a session on baby chameleons, hatchling chameleons. The fact that this is happening at the same time gives you a unique situation here. I've been doing baby chameleons for 30 years now, and I've been refining how to do the baby chameleons, hatchling chameleons. I've been working on doing them individual and all this. So I'm going to come at this from a certain perspective. I'm going to come at this with a 30-year experience perspective, which is, I hope I'm not being arrogant saying it's a respectable amount of information. You're going to be able to see, as you watch Neptune work with these hatchlings, you're going to be able to see someone highly experienced doing it for the first time. And the information you'll get from watching her work through all the different aspects is going to be invaluable. And how is she going to handle hydration? How is she going to handle lighting? And, when you get everybody who's done this before says, okay, I put the lighting on, it looks great. Oh, wait a minute. Now it's heating up my cages too much. Will that happen with her? Well, it depends upon how her room is. Everybody's different. And so everybody has to change these things up. What about drainage? Is drainage going to be a problem? You come out for this with the great ideas how I'm going to set it up, but then after a month you realize I got to change things. Well, everybody, that is some of the most valuable stuff you can watch someone going through that, because that's what you're going to go through. What I'm going to present is something that I have refined over years and years and years. It's going to work because, and it's my job, and that I'm going to try very hard to make sure it's as simple as possible. But no matter how you try to implement it exactly, it won't be exact, because your room is different, your humidity is different, everything, these little things add up to different. So I just want to say, take advantage of all these opportunities. And I'll add one more thing in my rant, which I am now not even taking a look at questions. I am very sorry. I'm going to get to the chat. If you all are thinking about starting a YouTube channel, don't think that you have to be the expert. So many people, they start the YouTube channel, and their first channel, they just got their first chameleon, and they're sitting there teaching people how to take care of a chameleon. Don't do that. We've got enough people teaching people how to do chameleons. We've got people who have decades of experience teaching people how to do chameleons. Let them do it. The value that you bring is that you are showing people how you interpret the information, how you've executed it, and how you are troubleshooting it. That is so valuable, is how you are growing with the information. So if you want to start a YouTube channel, please don't think you have to be an expert, and please don't try to be an expert. The value in YouTube channels is it accepts you exactly where you are. And if you are just starting out, then you just starting out will make the perfect YouTube channel, because there's so many people that would love to watch that. So there's a place for all of us because we're all at different points in the growth process. And I've been doing this for 45 years now or something like that. This is where I am. And in 45 years, you'll be here, and this will be your position. And I can't imagine the things you're going to be going over in 45 years. That's an amazing thing to think of. Just think about how far we've come so far. So if you're just starting off right now, stick with it. It'll be a whole lot of fun. So, all right, I'm going to go back to the chat because I have really. Neptune says the world needs more Bill Strands. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Steph is here. Stephanie, Safari Steph. Oh my goodness. Naturally Vibrant Art says, do you have chameleon enrichment ideas? That is, everybody, we've been talking about enrichment. That is kind of a difficult thing because, our chameleons, when they're happy, they just sit there. They just sit there. I mean, how do you measure chameleon happiness? So this is a challenge for us, is to figure out what is chameleon enrichment. How are we going to go into this next stage of our community? Because, I mean, you've listened to what I've said. We've learned how to take care of chameleons. We've kept them alive more than 6 months. Milestone. We've been able to breed them and take care of them throughout their entire life cycle. We can get the okay, I'm laughing because Stephanie, Safari Steph says, hi, Bill. So great to see you again, especially in that shirt. This is my Coccidia shirt that I designed. And I sat next to her on the bus, and she was a captive audience. And I just explained the entire Coccidia life cycle to her. And so she, to her credit, she was fascinated throughout the entire time. So anybody, but yes, Safari Stephanie Kong is going to be my guest this Saturday and talking about seeing chameleons in the wild. She is a biologist in Botswana, and so she sees chameleons on a regular basis, and she went to Madagascar with me, so she's got a lot of experience. Let's see. Neptune says, I like feeding flying bugs as an enrichment idea. That is an excellent enrichment idea. When you put a bug, a flying bug in the cage, you see your chameleon. This is one time where we see the chameleon lighten up, brighten up, and just, oh my gosh, this is so good. This is so great. So that is definitely one of the number one enrichment ideas that we have. But beyond that, it's going to be a challenge for us in the community to put together an idea of what it means to enrich a chameleon. And so we'll be developing ideas. I can't give you a list right now. Let's see. James is over there. Oh boy. Let's see. Safari Steph says, I know so much. She's talking about Coccidia, and totally not against my will. Yeah, well, she was a captive audience. She couldn't go anywhere. So, all right, I'm going to be coming over here on the YouTube chat. Let me take a look at questions here. And because I have been so, yeah, and Naturally Vibrant Art, this is something that's exciting for us. We were just entering into this stage, and it's going to take all of us as the community to think about this and start working on it. Go back to nature and say, all right, what around here is being enriching for them? So it's going to be a community project. Some of us are going to be really on it and working as hard as we can, but really it's a community project. So Spartacus, all right. Let's see. All right, I'm going through all the chat here, trying to catch up. Anna Ballistic, good to see you. That's Annabelle. She went to Madagascar with me. It's so good to see my Madagascar people here. So Marsha Ann's gonna get a Machakos Hills Jackson. Oh. Let's see. Alicia's got a question about the Neptune situation. She couldn't get rid of the mealybugs, and Neptune tried hard, and she explained it, and even said that she wasn't thrilled about it, but she had to do something right. Yeah, yeah, Alicia. I mean, that's it. That's it. And I am glad that she talked about it, because if she didn't talk about it, somebody out there is going to be surprised by a mealybug infection. And what are they going to do? Where are they going to go? Well, you know what? Now you've got a place to go. You know, somebody who knows what they're doing actually went through it, and this is what they did. So, okay, Neptune, you got some stuff on the YouTube for everybody. I have this going both on Instagram and on YouTube, and so I'm going to read the stuff because Neptune's on Instagram. I'm going to read the stuff that when people say nice things about her. So Eliza Ann says, "Amen to that." Neptune, I have huge respect for you being real on social media. So let's see. Titan the Chameleon says, to keep my humidity levels above 80% at night, I have to fog from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. What are your thoughts, Bill? Fine. That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. There is, when I, like, for example, when I have a care guide and I say fog from midnight to 6, and that is just an estimate. That is just a general idea. That's just a starting point. But once you start at that point, you say, okay, this isn't working, you adjust it to your situation. Believe me, when my humidity goes down, sometimes in California, I get humidity that goes down to like 16%, 6. I can guarantee you that fogger is going 24 hours a day, and it is struggling to get the humidity up. The problem with foggers and heat or daylight, you hear this soundbite, don't fog during the daylight. It has nothing to do with light and or the time of day. What it has to do is trying to keep you from combining heat and fog to the point where you have a situation where hot air can hold a whole lot more water, so there's a lot less oxygen. So it's a guideline helping you to stay away from that danger zone. But if the humidity is down at 30%, which is a real life situation for me sometimes, I fog all I want. And I'm going to fog and fog and fog and fog because it's needed. So yes, everything you see in the care guides, that's just your starting point. And then you adjust. And if you need longer fog, then do it. Do it. So let's see. Be pragmatic, not dogmatic. Two Turtle Tom. Yeah, we need to put that on our wall. Be pragmatic, not dogmatic. Yeah, guys, everything in the chameleon community, everything we think we know is valid within certain constraints. We make we make sound bites out of them to make it understandable for people who have I usually call it a TikTok attention span, but I'm not disparaging TikTokers. But that very quick. We have that very quick attention span. We want the answer immediately, so we give simplistic answers. But when you spend a little bit more time, you realize, okay, that simplistic answer is a good way to start. But when you really want to understand it, it's a whole lot of complicated mess. So that's why I call the TikTokers attention span, the YouTubers attention span, and then the podcasters attention span. So TikTokers, give them the information right away. That's the soundbite. YouTubers, okay, well, we got to keep your attention, so we got to keep it entertaining. We'll give you the highlights. But podcast, when I have 45 minutes to just explain everything and I don't have to worry about you jumping off to the next cute cat video, that's when I'm going to give you all those perspectives. Hey, Small Town Exotics, good to see you. And what do you recommend for hanging plants in an enclosure? Dragon ledges. That's what I love. I mean, that's the product that I invented 2013, 12 years ago, and specifically for hanging plants in your screen enclosures. So that is exactly what I use, and it has been I've been using them ever since. Uh, all right. Oh, Marshan's coming up with a new product. Okay. All right, new product. We're gonna wait to see. Patrick's got a question here. Hello, Bill. My panther chameleon won't eat crickets anymore. He prefers just hornworms. Is there a difference in nutritional value between both insects? Yes, there is. And and your panther is now just saying, I want the good stuff. I want the expensive stuff. I'm not going to eat the drivel, the cricket drivel. So you're going to run into a situation where you're going to have to perhaps let him skip a couple of meals until he gets properly hungry again and stops eating candy. So, and everybody, this is really what happens with chameleons. We feed them so much, and they don't burn a whole lot of calories sitting in our cage. Now, panther chameleon in the wild, yeah, he's trucking all over the place. They're in the roads, they're on the fences, they're in the trees, they're all over the place. But within our cages, they don't burn a whole lot of calories. And so we tend to feed them more than they need. So they start to not need the calories and they get to the point where they can be picky. And so they start wanting the treat stuff. And the way you get them off of that is you cut down, like skip a meal or something, to where hunger becomes the decision, the reason why they decide to eat or not, instead of are they amused by the color. So that's the situation. Okay, going on. I'm trying to catch up with the chat. Everybody think. Let's see. Marshan says, we watched Neptune build her nursery enclosures. I don't envy her putting 40 enclosures together. I will admit I was totally burned out. And so I spent 2 hours just passively watching Neptune build nursery enclosures. So yeah, it was therapeutic. Somebody else doing something. Oh, Dean, good to see you here. Haven't heard about Daisy lately. How's she doing? Daisy is my carpet chameleon, and she's still around. She has a mouth infection, really a bad mouth infection, and she's gotten over the mouth infection, but she's been a little bit under the weather, a little bit under the weather. So anyway, we'll see how things go when spring comes. Let's see. Jimmy Jimmy is saying, so female chameleon had 3 clutches. The second clutch was the smallest and also had symmetrical transparent dots on the eggs. When you have transparent dots, that's often that can be lack of calcium, but it's not something that means the egg is going to go bad. So you're fine with these transparent dots, assuming they are what I think I am. They are, and I get transparent areas. It's common. So when you say that, it doesn't. No warning bells go off. So I'd have to see it, but I think you're fine. Let's see. Does panting always mean that the basking site is too hot? Tighten the cam. Panting is a sign of heat exhaustion, of being too hot. It can be because there's a respiratory infection, but if it's tied to heat, then that is usually what it's communicating. So, how do you address mouth infections? I go to the vet and I get it cleaned out, and then I get antibiotics. That is exactly how I do it. So, When a Beauty says, this guy on YouTube has an amazing series on starting a YouTube channel. I think his name is Bill Strand. I know that guy. Yeah, we're going to start that back up. I'm going to be starting do something about how to start live sessions. That's coming up soon. All right, we've got Summer here asking about salmon Solomon Island tree boas. Okay, I'm going to have to let the chat answer that because I don't know. I know a lot about a little. Hello, Kanoa Black Eagle. Welcome. Bill is filled with great information and advice on so many different topics. I've got opinions on a lot of stuff. I'll share them here. Oh, let's see. Moses Contreras says, I just got my first Chameleon 2 days ago and I spray mist right now and I'm looking into getting a fogger and mister on a timer. What products do you recommend? You have to go to my website, although I've got to update the links. I got to tell you, I've seen so many of the links that I've got to update because when you try to do the links, they always change. But I think my fogger links are still good if you go on the chameleonacademy.com website. So let's see. So Dylan's back. All right. Welcome, Dylan. Captain Wiggins, thank you very much for the super sticker. I appreciate your support here. Small Town Exotics, Bill is the man. Well, thank you very much. Shane, very good to have you here. We had a 4% humidity day when you guys were in Madagascar. Oh, Dean, don't I know it. My poor wife and daughter were doing all they could to keep the chameleon thing running. When you get down to 4% humidity, yeah, we were getting that down to that. Because so people where I am in Southern California, if we get winds off of the ocean, it's cool and it's wonderful and it's humid. If we get winds from the desert, it's called Santa Ana winds, we can get down to, like you said, 4% humidity. It is horrible. Whew. So do you recommend keeping your probe at the bottom of the cage or top of the cage to keep proper humidity? I keep it in, if I'm going to be doing a humidity probe, I keep it in, say, in the middle, like right by the basking branch. It's a very inexact science. So, and even when you put your humidity in one section like this, the tube like we do, there's so many different little microclimates that the chameleon can choose, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So, okay, looks like Neptune came over. I've come to the dark side. Okay, I'll take it. I'll take that. That works for me. So Dragon Ledges, do you use them and what would be a good replacement for them? I absolutely use them. I use them all over the place and there's not a good replacement for them. There's just nothing that does the same job that holds the same weight. There are things that you can do. Like, I mean, if things aren't weighing a whole lot, like branches, you can do other things like just attach them to the screen because it's not a whole lot of weight. If you absolutely are not going to do Dragon Ledges, and you want to replace it with something, get a big stick and attach it on the inside to, screw it to the frames. And so you have this stick that goes along the inside of your cage and attach things to the stick, not the screen. So, Bill, do you know a way to fog an entire room without getting mold? Okay, the problem with fogging the entire room is our rooms are not designed to hold humidity. I learned this, by the way. I've done this, and I know our rooms are not designed to hold humidity. Bathrooms are better. They use special paints, but our normal room is not set up for that. That's why you either use a grow tent, like just put a huge grow tent in your room, or else you fog the individual cages. So let's see. Alicia says, hi, Neptune. I paid attention. I appreciate you sharing your experiences, great ones and not great ones, keeping it real. Yep, that is the value of following a YouTuber. Oh, that is Nick's talking about. That's why I love our grow tents. The lowest it ever gets is 50% when I open the door. Also can fog the room instead of the individual enclosures. So this is a concept that a lot of people are using. In a grow tent, it's a tent that you are supposed to be able to grow plants in, but it's really good if you just put your chameleon cages in it. And there's a huge advantage to being able to fog or get humidity throughout the entire room. We have a problem that we try to put lights and fog, all of these power sources in a small area, and that's not what they get in the wild. This is one of our biggest problems is we're trying to put points of light, points of fog, misters in a small area. And this is why the larger the cage, the larger the area, the better it is, the easier it is to create microclimates. You just get so much more room and space to do something. So that's why the bigger, the better. And grow tents really give you the ability to do some good stuff. So I don't know, Wayne Nabides, you're kind of like a reptile girly guy, I'd say. I'd say you fit that description. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Oh, yeah. Let's see. I'm struggling. Considered Nick wants to put live moss on the floor and making it. Wow. Okay, so he's going to use his grow tent and is going to create an entire bioactive room. Oh. Tell me the different care differences between a veiled chameleon and a Senegal chameleon. Temps, humidity. It's going to be really hard, Queen Acres. I've not had a Senegal chameleon. I think you could. The veiled chameleon, panther chameleon, like chameleons in general have a general range of temperatures that they do well in. You have a basking light, you have a like mid 70s as ambient temperature, and most chameleons will do well in that situation, and high humidity. Then they'll do well in that situation. So I think you can use general care advice. And I know we hear about veiled chameleon care and Jackson's chameleon care and panther chameleon care. You'll notice all of them actually do very well in this one mid-range. They can handle. Jackson's chameleons want it lower at night than panthers do. Veiled chameleons can take it, and panther chameleons can take it higher in temperature than Jackson's can. And veiled chameleons, they're just monsters, and they'll take anything you give them. So the different species have different abilities to adjust to the extremes. But when you use that central area of mid 70s ambient, 85 degrees with a basking, and just 50% humidity during the day and up to like 90% at night, almost all chameleons will do well. And so if you've got something like a Senegal chameleon and people are talking about different species, you've got a different species that you don't have a care guide for, just use that basic care and watch how they react. Watch, see if they need it warm. If they want it warmer, they'll let you know. They'll sit there and they'll like huddle against the light. Okay, that's a clue. So these are things you can use. So the basic veiled care, yes, I think a Senegal would be fine with that. But know that I believe the veiled can handle more extremes than I would put to a Senegal that I'm not totally sure about. So, all right. All right. Nick's saying, hey, Neptune, great work on the baby enclosures. Bill was watching the whole time and didn't say hi. Sometimes it's distracting. If I come on and say hi, then people talk to me, and we just wanted to listen to you. So I didn't want to be distracting. First winter with my Parsons. It's strange to watch him slow down and sit still after so many months of activity. No question, really. Just pointing out that being here helped me not to freak out. I'm glad you used Spock's podcast. Yes, that's brumation. And the first time you go through brumation, it'll freak you out. It's like, what my Parsons? I love my Parsons. Oh, great. I was relaxing. Oh. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay. James is saying juice box winter always stresses me out. My Parsons haven't eaten for over 2 months. They're barely moving, but I weighed them recently. They haven't lost any weight. Yeah. You got to, when you're a Parsons keeper, the first brumation, because they don't care about the temperatures. They decide, all right, it's time to brumate. And when things warm up, they don't care. They've got a schedule, and they will come out of brumation whenever they darn well feel like it, and they don't care what you say. Woohoo! Be excited about the YouTube channel. Classes starting back up again. Yes, Amy's Reptile Mag's Adventures talking about the Bill Strand channel. I am working on starting that out, but I recently a little bit of insight here. I recently went through a little bit of I guess you call it a depression. I got back from Madagascar, and it was so hard to get back into the groove of things when you're doing the content creation thing, and it's like another video. You have to be on point. You need to, like, yesterday, I had to get the newsletter done. I can't let it go to Tuesday, or else everything gets back. Today, I had to record the video for Friday. I can't let it go into Wednesday, because on Wednesday I've got something else I got to do. And so, boy, when you get into this groove, you just have to really be in the zone. Especially, I am doing something more complicated than normally done, and that's kind of like what I do. I don't know what it is. I just can't do things normal. That's, you've been around me long enough, I don't do things normal, and not that it works, not that any it doesn't matter what I do on YouTube, I don't get any extra attention, but at least it amuses me. Yeah, I am getting ready to start up with the mini series about starting your own, doing your own live sessions like this. This is a passion of mine. I really love doing this. And as you see what I'm doing on Saturday, I'm trying to really push the art of live sessions. I don't want to just turn things on and talk, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I want to, I have had to transition from the podcast because that's where the world was going. If I stayed on the podcast, it would be hard to have the audience that I have now. So it was just something that I had to do. And I'm finding that the live sessions are being a good substitute. It's allowing me to communicate with the community and do education. And I love the idea of these workshops. So anyway, that's a real long way of saying right now, I'm spending 2 intense weeks putting together this hatchling thing. And it's been a struggle. I've spent literally years working on this whole hatchling approach. And it's been a struggle, because I know I want to give hatchling advice, but I don't want to encourage purchasing of eggs. But I want to, if somebody's purchased an egg and found me, I want to give them as much encouragement and as much advice as they need. And so, balancing all of that, every now and then my brain explodes and I've got to start over. So I'm just deciding it's time. I'm going to do it. So I'll probably be starting the Bill Strand channel back up in March. So that was a real long way of answering. It wasn't even a question. So anyway, that's what happens here on this channel, on these live sessions. Hey, Wayne Beaties is going to be joining the Chameleon Academy, hunting microscopic parasites. Yes, that'll be wonderful. So, all right. Having Neptune and Nick are having fun talking about baby cages. Amy says centimeter are very important to have when you have any reptiles. Absolutely. So, let's see. Amy's talking about the grow tent subject. Currently have my peach throat monitor in a 4x2x5 grow tent. Oh, I love that size. It works great. No issues with it at all. Keeps heat and humidity very well. Excellent. Chameleons on Wheels says, hi, Bill. When will your next trip to Madagascar be? It's going to be at the beginning of January in 2026. I'm working on exact dates, but it'll probably be like the second full week in January. it's going to be equivalent to this year, which was January 8th through the 22nd. And so it'll be 2 weeks in that area. And I'm working on having that all by the end, all the details by the end of the month. So, go in. Okay. Going through. James is saying, I still can't get going, Bill. I think I might just have to go back to Madagascar and start all over. I think that's a great idea. Let's all just go back to Madagascar and see if we can fix it. So, Neptune says, admire your consistency, Bill. I think I'll be back on YouTube in a couple of weeks. Taking some time off for obvious reasons. Yes, you have a very understandable reason for taking some time off. And I find when I take time off, I always come back better than if I would have pushed through it. So I think you're doing exactly what you should do. Of course, you know that. But yeah, I affirm your decision as the right one. So, and Marcia says, no, James, we can't afford for you to get lost in Paris. Yeah, that's kind of funny of everybody. Of course, it wasn't funny at the time, but we can laugh about it now. James getting lost in Paris. Yeah. Oh, hey, Michael. Very good to see you. Very good to have you here. Dr. Michael Nash. Let's see. Okay. Woo. All right. And Michael, Mr. Nash is Dr. Michael Nash saying, hi, everybody. They're doing great. Just love the little tiny kalumas. But Gary is a great little species. Yes, Michael specializes in the mini kalumas. So very, very cool. All right. I caught up with the chat. Woo! And I got 8 minutes left. Hey, anybody got any other questions? So let's see what's going on for the rest of this week. I'm going to be having the video on Friday is going to be a discussion about where you can go see chameleons in the wild. It's going to be my pod. You'll notice some of my videos that are coming out are like podcast style. And I decided that I'm just going to lean into that. And it's just going to be me talking because there's some topics that I go into that just are not easy to put to B-roll. And you spend so much time putting B-roll to this stuff where it's just kind of a distraction. So, so some of the stuff that I'm going to be doing will be traditional YouTube videos, but I am also going to be doing just podcasts where I just sit and I talk. And you don't have to watch the screen. You can just go and do chores. You can walk around the house, do exercising, driving, whatever. That's fine. You're not going to miss anything. In fact, you'll probably absorb more just by sitting back and relaxing and listening. So let's see. Kathleen Clark, what can you tell me about panther chameleons? Panther chameleons are awesome. And they are the best chameleon to start off with when you're starting off. That is what I can tell you. And of course, beyond that, all of the husbandry is on chameleonacademy.com. Look for the Panther Chameleon profile section, and you will get a whole lot of information, a whole lot of videos, podcasts. In fact, there's an entire podcast. I did the Panther Chameleon podcast that you can go through chronologically. It was a limited series, so I don't have it go on every week, but you can go on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, just look over for the Panther Chameleon podcast, start at episode 1 and just go through and you have everything you need. So that I love that. That was a fun project. So Marshan says, last Friday's show podcast was excellent. Just close my eyes and listen. Yes, that's what I want everybody to do. Hey, Jamie, thank you. Yes, I'm back home. Anybody else remember the Chameleon Breeder podcast? Okay, quiz time. What the heck is the Chameleon Breeder podcast? Does anybody here remember the Chameleon Breeder podcast? And that was a time. Oh, that was launched in 2015, and for those that don't know, this is the Chameleon Breeder podcast is what this Chameleon Academy started off with, and it was just a podcast back then. Liza Ann says, yes, the OG Chameleon Academy podcast. That's where it started. My favorite episodes are the episodes with Mario Youngman. Yes. And so that was the start. It was an interesting idea to do a podcast on chameleons, who is a very visual subject. But I loved podcasting, and I knew that was the horrible at video. So YouTube would have killed me. But with podcasting, it was a way that I could get some information to the community and bring the community together. Back then, 2015, there were a lot of people who would not come on if you did a video. There was this huge discomfort, and a lot of the people that I wanted to talk to were actually, they didn't even want to come on and talk to a podcast. A podcast was too technological for them, and so I told them it was just like a telephone call. So yeah, but it allowed me to get a digital footprint of so many people. It was so easy to get people on the line just talking like a telephone call, and I was able to talk to so many people. And 2020 was a change. The whole pandemic changed everything, because, and the reason why this is important is because my whole outreach was community focused. I wanted to build the community, and that's why there were so many people that I brought on. I wanted to show the community, these are the people that you need to get to know. 2020 was a huge change because that's when the pandemic happened, and all of a sudden everybody got used to Zoom. And so now they were comfortable with being on video, and that just opened up so many opportunities. Neptune says, funny enough, my first episode I listened to and how I found Bill was an episode on selling chameleons. Full circle moment to be breeding myself. Yes. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Now James is blaming me for something? He does that to all of us. Never even considered breeding, and now I'm setting up for it. Bad influence. So, Mashan says, over the last few years, I've listened to every one of your podcasts, including the Chameleon Breeder. You're one of the best podcasters. Thank you very much. I enjoy podcasting, and doing a solo episodes, that's not a common approach because it takes a lot of work, but I love it so much, and yeah, I do love it. Let's see. Tone up tools. Sometimes our Jackson's chameleon eye looks a bit bulged out, and he pushes it back in with a branch. New to raising chameleon. You want to get that looked at. It could be a bacterial infection, and so there could be some discomfort there. It'd be a good idea to take it to the vet just to get it looked at, and have the vet can take a look in that eye and see if there's any irritation, if there's any infection. Sometimes there's a tube that goes up from the mouth up through the eyes to the nostril. If there's an infection in there, it can come out on the eye. So it's a good idea to go to the vet and get that one checked out. So you need another episode with Mario. The guy is incredible. Carson, you'll find over the last 10 years, people evolve, people change, people come up to the spotlight, people go back from the spotlight. And it's very interesting seeing how the community has changed over the last 10 years and all the different names and the ebb and flow. And it's been very cool being in the position I am because I can see this. So yeah. See, do you recommend an event in the Los Angeles areas? Get to Greek and Associates. He's in Orange County, Yorba Linda. He knows Chameleons inside and out. It is worth the drive if you're in Los Angeles. It may be a long drive, but he is worth it because he knows what he's talking about. He has decades of experience with Chameleons. He's been my vet for decades. And believe me, I've made sure that he has a lot of chameleon experience. He's a gecko guy, but he likes chameleons. Bill's a pusher. What the heck? What the heck? Giving me a bad rep. So, hey, you know what? Nobody's asked for a Parsons Chameleon care guide yet. What the heck? So, bye, Neptune. Thanks for dropping by. So, let's see. Eliza Ann's on the list. Steve got approval for Brevicorn and Yellow Lip from my gatekeeper. Whoa, that is awesome. So, all right, everybody. Oh, it is time. It's 6 o'clock. That is time to close this off. And so I want to say thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Join me and Stephanie Kong this Saturday at 12 noon Pacific on YouTube. And if you'd like to be there for the first showing of the video on Friday morning, 5 a.m. Pacific. And we'll be there for in the chat. There's a live chat for the first showing. So, all right, everybody. James says, wow, that was a fast hour. Must have had a good time. Love you guys. See you soon, Bill. Yes, it was wonderful. All right, everybody. Let's see. Is it possible that when blood was drawn from my chameleon's tail that it would have damaged it? It no longer curls. It is possible. It shouldn't. It's possible if there was mechanical damage with the needle. Although usually when they pull it, they don't do damage, but it's possible. So anyway, all right, everybody. Wonderful having you. Thank you very much for being here, and I'll see you next time.